Hello, hello, hello. It's not where we start, ladies and gentlemen. It's where we finish. I'm Anthony Gaffa, and you're watching Unfiltered with Gafa. Today, we're going to be talking about what's the difference between a successful trainer and a trainer that's stuck in a rut. A trainer that is doing all the hard work but can't seem to see the light at the end of the tunnel or can't seem to anchor those bigger clients or automate their business or have things in place that are going to enhance their growth. This does relate to most industries, but given we are on the topic of horse trainers and breeders and people who have got farms or looking at getting away from working for somebody else and launching their own division or starting their own farm, why not start on the right note? Well, let's just talk about a trainer who's a foreman for somebody else. So the right-hand man, they're currently liaising with clients, they're doing track work or, they're assessing horses, they're prepping feeds, they're doing everything they need to do and they want to go out on their own. You find that these guys are really good at what they do. They're good horsemen, they understand the beast, but they're not businessmen. How do you become a commercial, successful, leading trainer as opposed to someone who's going to be training their own horses, buying their own horses because they can't get owners on board, doing all the work themselves, doing invoices at midnight, filling in for staff that don't turn up, doing their posts on social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. You need to get away from buying a horse, putting a plan in place. How am I going to sell the horse? You need to have a horse sold before you buy it. How does that work? Go to my phone. I've got text messages from a guy I used to ride track work for. Maybe he wants to buy 5%. He used to like the way I used to ride horses. No. That's not the way it's done. These large organizations have plans in place, strategies in place. And I'm not saying you need to bring in a business analyst to drive your racing stable where you've got 6, 12 horses. But you need to start thinking like them. If you're not thinking like the elite, you're not going to become the elite. If you're not going to be thinking outside the square and doing things different, you're going to do what your father did, what your grandfather did, and what your great-grandfather did. And if that's what you want to do, if that's what satisfies you, that's okay. But don't criticize or don't be angry that the trainer next door gets all the good horses. Don't be upset when you see the same trainers winning Group 1s week in, week out. Well, you need to make a change. You need to implement systems and procedures. But this also relates to business as a whole, not just to a trainer who's up there in the morning and getting the job done and watching the trainers in shining lights have success. It's about you as an individual grinding away at your business, whether it be a trainer, whether it be a farm, a stud, or just any other business for that matter. I'm not an expert, but I have jumped in the trenches myself, and some things that I've implemented along the way have helped me realize the value of a business and realize how I could have my business grow and operate without me. Although I'm a big fan of a business is something that can run without you, a business will always be a lot more successful if the founder is still putting his input in. He doesn't need to be part of the day-to-day operations or heading up the marketing team, but he's got the business to where it is because of his mindset, because of his vision, because of his ability to focus. There are so many people with good ideas, but a good idea is worth nothing if it stays in a box. Having a good idea is only as good as the person who drives it. What's more important, a good idea or an individual that can implement it and push it forward? I know from my own experiences, having an idea bloodstock auction, which was an online auction for thoroughbreds, having that idea was nothing. It was worth nothing. It was just bragging rights of me having to come up with the idea first. And it wasn't me that came up with the idea first. As soon as I launched Bloodstock Auction, I had hundreds of people say I had that idea. In actual fact, if I had $1 for every time someone had come up to me and said I was going to do that as well, I'd be a very rich man. But it wasn't the idea. It was more about what I could do with that idea, what I could put in place. How do I find a software engineer? Where do we locate ourselves? Do we need an office? Should we work from home? Who's going to start doing the social media posts? How do we generate an income? Where do I get the funds from? These are all the boxes that need to be ticked. There are a lot of boxes to tick off, and it can seem overwhelming. But it all comes down to how much do you want it? How bad do you want it? How important was it for me to stop being an electrical contractor and do something new, do something different? Well, that was easy for me because I know how much I really wanted to make a change. Being an electrical contractor or a service type business, you can earn good money, but it just wasn't enough for me. I wanted to develop something, build something, be part of something bigger. And for me, it was launching something different. And it wasn't just an app or a website. It was growing a community. Because in every good business, you've got a marketing department, and a department's got a team in it. You've got an accounts department who's responsible for ensuring everyone's paid, and there's a lot more than just paying bills. Then you've got the sales. If they're not bringing in the clients, if we're not reaching out to our wider community, do you really have a business? So it's a team. You've got to build a team. We need to share the same vision, achieve our goals, and continue to reinvent ourselves. That's what happened for us. Like I started to touch on earlier, you got a horse, you need to sell it. You go through your phone, you got text messages, you used to ride track work for somebody, your neighbour said, I was thinking of getting into a horse, and you start thinking, how do you get this horse away? Why wouldn't you implement a CRM, a customer relationship manager? They're not expensive. You can even start with a 30-day trial for free. It's going to cost you a couple of $100 a year. What's a CRM? Well, all the information you pick up along the way about people, their data, what they're interested in. Are they prepared to buy a share? Are they a breeder and they're looking for a trainer? Is it a different category, such as they're a breeder and when they get stuck with yearlings, they like to lease them out? Are they someone who's looking at investing in your farm when it gets to a certain size? Is it somebody that's looking to invest in your racing stable when you're looking to buy your own? How are you going to remember this 10 years down the track, 5 years down the track? By implementing all this data into a CRM, it not only makes your job easier, but that's the value of your business. It's your member base. It's people you can reach out to. How can we remember who each individual member is? How do I know that Kelly's not going to call Belinda's lead? How do I know how to get a listing when our numbers are low? We've been given an opportunity to sell a quality horse, but we need to reach out to a certain type of member, someone who might be looking for a filly that's going to have a life after racing, valued at a minimum of $200,000. Well, if you put these notes in a CRM, it's all readily available at your fingertips. You don't need to try and think, hang on, I remember sending a bloke a text message 3 years ago who was looking for that type of horse. So my advice is, right from day one, which is what we did, start a CRM. Be a little bit different. Be one step ahead. Make your job easier. Will this fix my invoicing problem? No. The next phase is having an automated system, using an accounting package rather than flicking out invoices from an invoice book or typing up invoices that aren't integrated to the ATO, or it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay, you may not be able to do this yourself. It's a real simple solution here. You're a horseman. You know how to train horses. You know how to break in horses. You know how to educate horses. You know how to get the best out of a horse. But you don't know anything about accounting. Why wouldn't you engage a bookkeeper? You might only need them for 2 hours a week initially. But to pay someone an hourly rate to do what their area of expertise is makes a lot of sense. And by engaging the right bookkeeper, they will grow with you. You might start with 10 horses, then you end up with 20 and 50 horses, and you might be buying shares, selling shares, flipping horses. By having the right bookkeeper in place will enable you to grow, expand, and they can take on more of the workload as you grow. Phase 2 may look like you need a full-time bookkeeper. Is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? You've now grown and you can afford to employ your own bookkeeper. That would be the ultimate goal. If you want to get your stables to a commercial racing organisation. Everybody's scenario is different. For me personally, I was very fortunate because I already had some businesses that were rolling. So I could actually lean on my resources. I already had an office. So to set aside a little room to start bloodstock auction, it made a lot of sense. That's how it all kicked off for me. For you, it might be different. You may have a staff member that can assist in the bookkeeping or in the marketing department. That's how you can save cost. You may have a family member that can assist. My sister was my accounts department for the first 10 years in business. That made sense for me. I'm not saying to use family because sometimes they can be a really bad decision. But for me, that really worked. When you're starting off, we do need to be very conscious on how much money we're spending. But you need to spend money to make money. Don't save the money for a rainy day. Get in there, take some risks. You're not going to reap the rewards by doing what everyone else is doing. By playing it safe, it's not going to work. You need to take some risks. So whether you're leaning on your own staff or your own network to assist in some of these tasks or things that need to be done, or engaging a professional. From what I've learnt, outsourcing, engaging professionals will always outweigh leaning on friends and family for favours. Because if you want to grow, you don't want to be dictated by people who can help you when they're ready or when they've got time. You want to be able to call the shots. Take a risk. Put it on the line. The guys that have made it, from the elite trainers to the commercial breeding operations, haven't relied on mum and dad to come and help with the invoicing and do all the marketing. So although it might be a good entry, that's not how it's going to work long term. Let's discuss admin. Some people say it's the most important. Some people say it's the least important. I'm here to tell you it's the most time consuming. You don't want to be heading to the races or doing your day-to-day business and then coming home and have to mail out ID cards. A lot of people say, I just do it myself. That is the beginning of the end. Do not be doing your own admin. You're a trainer in your own right, or you're a business person in your own right. Engage an admin expert. They are the foundation of your business. They will ensure the smooth running. The admin department is what holds everything together. As a trainer, you want to ensure your horses are peaking at the right time, not answering calls or dealing with owners who are yelling at you for not sending an ID card. Have someone that's more efficient in that space look after that. There are people that love admin. Attention to detail is their thing. Focus on running the business. Let someone else do your admin. As soon as you can offload that, will be the beginning of you moving to that next phase. Don't get caught up in admin. It'll sink you. I said the admin department can be the most time-consuming and the most taxing, but I don't know. There might be a healthy debate here. What about the HR department? When it comes to recruiting, do I outsource it? But Anthony, when I'm recruiting people, I'm the man. They want to talk to me. Well, that does have a lot of power, whether you're an elite trainer or an up-and-comer. Staff do want to know that they can still liaise with you. I'm very big on an open door policy. Whenever I interview people, whenever they get started, I let them know I've got an open door policy. That may not be for you. You may not be a people person. But being readily available to have a discussion with staff members, even as the boss, I think it goes a long way, because you might have a good staff member who's been with you for a year or 5 years, but they're just looking for that little conversation, or they may not be happy with some of the other team members, or they may feel bullied in the workplace and you don't know. But because you're not open to that conversation, because they can't reach you at arm's length, you've decided to outsource that department, some of these little things that could be nipped on the head now escalate and snowball because you weren't available. You will engage better quality employees and people that want to work for you if you can have that open door policy. And I think it's really important because a happy team equals success. Marketing. I find that with the marketing, we were focusing as a company on just getting the job done. We were selling horses that our competitors couldn't, but we never said anything about it. As soon as I became a bit vocal, some people thought, well, you're talking out of line. But it's marketing. It's not personal. Getting the job done, whether it's an awesome result, an average result, or a poor result, but they're marketing it till the cows come home. You need to do the same. You need to talk about your wins. You need to talk about your successes. People aren't going to ring you and ask how well you're going. People aren't going to come to your office and ask you, what's the latest horse you've sold, or what's the latest winner? By promoting it and getting it out there, people know what you can do. I recently spoke to a bloodstock agent, and whilst we were talking, they asked me for some ideas. And I said, well, arguably, you're the best bloodstock agent in the land. You buy value for money horses. You're non-biased. And you get the most winners at black type level. But I don't know that. You tell me that every time we talk. My advice is engage a marketing company if you can't do it yourself, or employ a videographer like I did. Start creating that content and sharing it. The investment will pay dividends. Getting the result done and not sharing it or telling people about it, it's stupidity. That's it. It's stupid. If you get the job done, let people know. It'll help you grow your business.